Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Stylosa, and it's only bloody 2 days until the next competitive season starts. What the hell? Alright guys, so what this video is going to be about is what you've managed to achieve in this season. I want your stories. Go into the comments below and let me know what has happened with you in Season 4 Overwatch Competitive. Did you have a goal? Did you meet the goal? Did you maybe watch some overanalyze videos or maybe other guide videos off me that helped you out get towards your goal? Did you become a better player? Did you sort out your positioning? Are you communicating more with the team? Are you less sort of like prone to going into toxic fits of rage? Ladies and gentlemen, let me know about all of this in the comments below, because I'm going to tell you about my season, because, well, it never really turned out how I expected it to turn out at the start of the season. Now, usually at the start of the seasons, I throw a video out and I say, these are my goals for this season, and I distinctly remember what my goals were for Season 4. It was to, well, play on Stylosa more and just really just play on one account, because the season before, I kind of jumped around a couple of accounts. Yeah, I played on Stylosa, I played on STATAIII, and some other accounts and all of that stuff, and it was fine and it was jazzy. This season, though, I seem to have become, well, worse. I play on more accounts, which is really, really weird, and I'm trying to work out why I've done this, and I think I know. So, I think the best place to start off with is where all of my accounts kind of finished the season at. So, Spitfire made it into GM, only just into GM, then it kind of started decaying away, because it's very difficult to keep the number of accounts that I've got going active. And also, I'm starting to get recognised on Spitfire now, so it's like, people know it's me, and it's a very strange phenomenon when you're kind of known on the internet, especially for one game, and when you play that game, you get noticed pretty much all of the time, and it has like a strange effect on the team. It can either make them play really well, or it can make them play really bad because they try too hard. Or, in some extreme cases, you can get people who just follow you around and stand in front of you because, well, I don't know, they want to be on the camera, I guess? I don't know, it's weird. So yeah, Spitfire made it to GM, that was awesome. STATAIII made it to GM, which was awesome. we'll get onto Sty in a second, and then my other special account, or I should actually say accounts. I'm not actually going to tell you guys how many accounts I've got because it's so stupid, but I know you know about 4 of the accounts, and the unnamed account, of which I will never ever tell you guys about, that was firmly embedded in GM and was basically the account that I played a lot of the season on. So, what happened to Stylosa? Stylosa happened to Stylosa, I think, ladies and gentlemen. So basically, whenever I would play this account, like I just said, you get strange reactions off people, and it's only really, it's kind of a unique thing to me. Probably a couple of other people in the whole Overwatch community would suffer from this as well, but it's very, very strange, and it would make playing the game kind of frustrating at times. I'm a very flexible player when I play Overwatch. I like to play, I think I'm very confident in saying that I can get up into GM with Soldier 76. If I just play him all the time, I can easily get up into GM. Probably some other characters as well. I can do it with McCree. I mean, I did it with McCree on Spitfire, and other accounts that I've, you know, I can actually play Tracer quite well. I'm not too bad on Hanzo either. So I know I can take myself to the high levels like that, but once I get into GM, it's not like I'm a DPS player at that level. I can do it, but I know there are people who are better at it than me. Maybe it's an age thing, I don't know, but I'm much better on the tanks. Like, I'm pretty okay on Winston, on D.Va, on Reinhardt as well, and that's generally where I go to, or I'll play Anna, I'll even play Lucio, and by the way, the new Lucio is absolutely awesome. So yeah, what happened to Stylosa? I left it, basically, till the end of the season. Then I did the placement games on this account, and I got it, I think it placed at like 3.8k, which was pretty good, and then it started to, well, go down, because I'd go into games, and there was, I think, 4 or 5 games which were defeats, because it was Stylosa, because the team were just like, they couldn't believe Stylosa was on their team, and I'm like, guys, can we just play the game? Like, you got to imagine, guys, it's really awkward for me. I'm like, hey guys, you know, can we please play the game? Like, so what I did is I changed the name of the Stylosa account. This is why, if you watch the Overwatch anniversary celebrations, this is why I was using Spitfire for the dev stream, because there is no there basically is no Stylosa account right now, because I'd name changed it. The reason why I name changed it is so I could sort of play incognito and hopefully just fix its rank and get it up into Grandmaster, because it had achieved that pretty much every season. Although not this season, because I'd left it so late. It was honestly a bit of a mess. Around that region of like mid-masters, which is kind of where I picked it. I think it placed at like 3.8, lost a couple of games. It went down to about 3. I think it was like 3.68, it's like 3,680, around about that. And then I changed the name, and then I started to win a couple of games, but then you'd lose games, win games, lose games. And it wasn't because, like, oh, you know, the players are really bad or like I'm getting really lucky or whatever. It was just like people were just doing whatever they liked because it was the end of the season, and a lot of people have already met their goals. And I'd noticed looking at people's profiles, it was like, oh, you know, they were maybe 4.2k in the season and now they're like 3.5. Like, they don't care. They're just like, whatever. They're never really going to get back to that level before the end of the season because they'd have to win a ton of games for that to happen. So I can understand in one way why people would want to throw, but it was very frustrating. And this, of course, led to me producing a couple of videos on the channel where I was like, look guys, don't throw your games at the end of the season because it will affect your MMR, which in turn will affect where you place after you do Season 5 placements. Because if you're losing games through throwing, through playing characters you don't normally play, so your statistics are going to be pretty poor, that's going to reduce your MMR, so after placement, well, you're going to be lower down in the ranks than you would be. Now, granted, a lot of these players will be able to recover. Now, the other very interesting thing to me is because I've, 4 accounts that you guys know of. It's so stupid. I'm like an addict. It's ridiculous. The SR spread on those accounts is kind of similar, to be honest. Like, you know, you look at Spitfire, I think Spitfire got into GM and then I kind of didn't really play it that much. StateBait was at like 4.1, almost 4.2. The unnamed account was 4.2. I think that ended the season at just over 4.2, which I was pretty happy with. And then we've got Stylosa, which I actually can't remember where that ended the season. There must have been like 3.6 or something around that. So there's quite a big range there of SR, and that's interesting to me because it's the same player, and it's not like I'm doing radically different things on each account. Like, the reason why I've got all of these different accounts is so I can continue playing the game and recording the game without actually having like the Stylosa effect. Like I said, StateBait and Spitfire are so well known now that people know that's me. They're like, oh, it's Sty, you know, and so it has the same sort of effect. So I'm probably going to have to name change those again, which is really funny. Like, the amount of name changes I've done is just absolutely insane. But yeah, why is there such an SR spread? Well, like I said, Stylosa played towards the end of the season and it was very difficult to rank up. I think if I was at the, maybe, let's say if I was just about to break it into Diamond or just about to break into Masters or just about to break into GM, I think the games would have been much better because at those levels, people are really going to want to try because they can see the goal is just ahead of them. Just, they want to get into the next tier to get the credits for the golden weapons, right? So they'll probably try. Whereas in the middle of the tiers, people don't seem to care. Or people who've suffered such massive SR losses, they just don't care anyway because they're like, I want the new season, it's going to be a fresh start. And I can understand that. But like I said, it will affect your MMR if you're throwing games. So it was really frustrating for Sty, and that's probably why it ended much lower than the other accounts. All the other accounts were around about the same level, which does give you a good picture of me as a player, which means that I'm pretty much like a low GM player when I'm left to my own devices. And that's the thing. All of this, pretty much, this entire season, with the exception of StateBait, who I did do a little bit of duo and triple queuing at the start of the season with. I think I might have done the, I streamed the games with StateBait on Twitch, like all the placement games for Season 4. So he played in groups. All of the other accounts have been solo queue. Like, I have not grouped with anybody. I've just gone in solo queue. And this has honestly given me the, I think, the authority to say this right now. Solo queue and duo queue, I don't think they're much different. The only difference with duo queue is you've got one less guy on your team who could possibly be a troll or a thrower. But once you keep playing games, and the more games that you play, the rate at which you get the trolls and the throwers goes down, unless it's the end of the season, right? So it's not actually that bad. And that proved to me that if I'm just left to play the game on my own, I can get up into GM. Getting into top 500, I don't know, that's a different stretch. But here's the thing, this is my goals for this season. What am I going to do? Well, there's only 2 days off, right? So there's not going to be that much downtime, which I think is absolutely awesome, because before it was too much downtime. And I think there was a lot of issues with that, like people would kind of get a bit withdrawn from the game and all of that stuff. But now with it just pretty much rolling up, it's almost like a weekend, right? We get 2 days off, then we're back into it. What the hell am I going to do this season? Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to force myself to play on just 2 accounts. I am going to play on either StateBait or Spitfire, and then I'm going to play on Stylosa. But here's the thing, do I rename Stylosa back to Stylosa and just try and play with it? Or do I leave it as its special name that it's got at the moment, and then just rename it once I believe I'm at a point where I don't think that will affect me anymore? But the problem is, I think that affects me all the time. So this is a massive issue. Like, I don't know what to do. I want to play on one account and just really play on one account and see how far I can take that in the season, because all of these other accounts, like all of the playtime I put in on Overwatch is insane. Like I play this game for like 4 or 5 hours every single day, right? Okay, that's maybe not as insane as some of the streamers and people like that, but that's very insane. And then after that, I'm making videos on Overwatch. I'm in the Overwatch community. Like I literally live the Overwatch life. So I'm putting a lot of effort into these accounts. So the question to me that I'm going to ask myself for this season is it possible for me to get into high GM? Can I get 4.3k and above? Is that something I could do? I don't think I could do that as DPS. I think I could probably do it as tanks, and probably maybe as Ana. Like I always see Ana as probably my strongest support. I'd like to play a bit more Zenyatta, I think, but I think Reinhardt, Ana, and Winston possibly in D.Va, and even Zarya. Like Zarya is a hero I've not really played that much this previous season, which I used to play her a ton, and I was pretty good with Zarya, but it's amazing how fast you sort of drop off with your Zarya usage. Like I became really quite lax, and this is the other problem with what has happened to me recently in the last season. I was just playing Soldier. Most of the time it was Soldier and McCree with some Tracer. Those are hit scan heroes. That was me trying to prove to myself, is it possible for me to get back to the levels I was at when I used to play like CS 1.6, and I used to play CS Source quite a lot, and Day of Defeat, I used to play that a ton. Where I was, I was a good player. Like on all of the servers that I played, in all of the small sort of clan tournaments I played in and stuff like that, I was a good player. Like with Counter-Strike, I used to be in the top 10. I think the highest I got was 3rd place on a server that had like hundreds of thousands of registered users on it. This is back in the day where you had a thing called HL Stats, which would track the stats, but only on specific servers, so you'd keep joining the same server. It was awesome because it built communities around servers. But I was a good player, and I knew I was, and I wanted to see if that was doable in Overwatch, and it is. So there's 2 questions I've got to ask myself here. Can I take my DPS to a much higher level? Is that even something I could do? Or do I focus on going into tanks at that level where I feel more comfortable? Because that's the beauty with Overwatch, right? You don't need to be a super, really fast reaction-based player to play at the highest levels, which you do if you're playing like Genji or Soldier or McCree or whatever. But if you're playing like Winston or Reinhardt, it's all about making space, it's all about controlling the game, it's about communication, and I think that's probably my strong suit. So what I'm going to force myself to do for this season is just play on 2 accounts. I'm not going to play on like loads of different accounts. It's funny because I'm sitting here and I've got like 4 accounts that can buy golden weapons just from this season's like results, which is insane. Anyway, I've rambled enough about what I've done this season and what I'm going to do next season. I want you guys, like I said at the start of this video, to let me know how your season has got on. Have you achieved your goals? Have you got to where you wanted to get to? If you haven't, it doesn't matter. And also, remember, rank really doesn't matter. Whatever rank you're at and wherever you've managed to get to, that's fine, right? It's all about progression. It's all about getting better as a player. Like for me sitting here going, oh, GM this, GM that, it's fine. It's whatever. I play Overwatch all the time. I make loads of videos on Overwatch. It's to be expected that I can play Overwatch at a higher level. That doesn't matter. If you're platinum, if you're silver, if you're bronze and you're just trying to get into silver, that's a goal, and it's a worthy goal, and it is no different than me saying I want to try and get to 4.3k plus. But what I am going to do, and this is my statement to all of you guys and to myself, because I will be watching this video back, is I am going to play on only 2 accounts this season, but I'm going to try and play on my main account as much as possible and really see how far I can take that account. The question is, am I going to rename it back to Stylosa, or am I going to wait for a while, or what? I don't know. The problem is when I talk, people know it's me anyway, so they'll eventually start to spam my name around, and then I'll start seeing people tweeting it to me on Twitter or posting comments in videos like this going, oh yeah, your account is named this. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Stylosa and this is Unit Lost. The Overwatch competitive season is back in 2 days, so you better get ready. Go and play some 1v1 or 3v3 arena. They are awesome. You can follow me on Twitter, guys, which is @UnitLostGaming. You can also join the Discord as well, which is discord.gg/UnitLost. It's a very beautiful Discord server. It's quite a big server, but it's very, very calm. It's not toxic, and everybody has a great time there. We've got some awesome moderators over there as well. All right, guys. I'll leave it at that. Holy hell, I'm going to play some 1v1 and 3v3 to get ready for the new season. I'll catch you then. Toodaloo.